the real history of the Spartans. Beyond the 300 myths of blood and bravery, they were warriors born in fire, raised without fear, trained to die before surrender. Hollywood told us the Spartans were demigods, 300 men standing against an empire. But what if I told you the truth is more brutal, more complex, and far more human? This is the story of Sparta, as you've never seen it. Not a stylized comic book fantasy, but a real civilization built on fear, sacrifice, and control. A culture where strength was survival and weakness was eradicated. Tonight, we tear away the myth and walk through the blood-soaked halls of history to uncover the real Sparta. Origins: the bones of a warrior society. Before the Spartan phalanx marched across history, there were farmers, shepherds, and poets, the land before Sparta. Archaeological finds near Koufouvouno and Amyklai show human settlement in the Eurotas Valley over 6,000 years ago. The Mycenaeans, known for their palatial cities and Linear B script, once ruled here until the Great Bronze Age collapse, circa 1200 BCE, reduced their power to dust. Then came the Dorians, a Greek-speaking people who migrated south and gradually absorbed the region of Laconia. Around 950 to 900 BCE, four neighboring villages, Pitana, Meso, Limni, and Kinosora, merged into one rising city, Sparta. Visual suggestion: map transition from Mycenaean Greece to early Dorian Sparta. Sparta wasn't born a war machine. That transformation took centuries and one key figure, the semi-mythical lawgiver Lycurgus. The Lycurgan blueprint legend says, Lycurgus journeyed to Crete and Delphi, gathering wisdom to build a society where individual desires bowed to the state. His constitution shaped Sparta's structure. Dual kingship to check royal power Gerousia, a council of elders over 60, to guide major policy, and the infamous agoge, a state-run education that bred obedience and loyalty through suffering. Terror by design. The Crypteia. Every year, Spartan leaders declared ritual war on the Helots, allowing young Spartans to legally murder any Helot suspected of disloyalty. These secret missions, known as the Crypteia, were both training exercises and psychological warfare. Helots were often forced to get drunk and humiliated in front of Spartan youths, not for fun, but as cautionary examples of what weakness looked like. The agoge. Childhood in hell, Spartan boys were taken from their mothers at age 7. The state became their parent. Boy with shaved head, barefoot, standing in cold fog in the agoge, children endured starvation, beatings, and sleep deprivation. They were taught to steal to survive, but punished not for stealing, but for being caught. Despite the harshness, the agoge was not just about violence. Boys learned poetry, especially works of Tertius dance and music, often in militaristic rhythms, reading and writing, though not deeply, just enough to follow orders. Contrary to Hollywood, Spartans weren't mindless brutes. They were trained to endure and obey, not necessarily to think or innovate. The women of Sparta. Stronger than you think. In a world where most Greek women were kept indoors and voiceless, Spartan women were empowered. They trained in sports, owned property, and managed estates while men trained or fought. Quote, "Only Spartan women give birth to real men." Gorgo, wife of King Leonidas. By the 4th century BCE, women controlled nearly 40% of Spartan land. They couldn't vote, but they could influence. Mothers were the spiritual heart of Sparta's warrior ethos. Spartan women training with javelins, shouting to their sons before battle. They told their sons, "Come back with your shield, or on it." There was no greater shame than cowardice. The battlefield. Fame, fear, and failure. Thermopylae. The glorious stand in 480 BCE, King Leonidas and 300 elite Spartans joined 7,000 other Greeks to hold the narrow pass at Thermopylae against the Persian army of Xerxes. Their 3-day resistance became legendary. not for victory, but for defiance. The message was clear. Spartans do not run. They die where they stand. But this wasn't Sparta's most common battlefield story. Reality check: Spartan defeats. In 425 BCE, 120 Spartan soldiers surrendered at Sphacteria, shocking all of Greece, as Spartan surrender was deemed impossible. At Leuctra, 371 BCE, Theban general Epaminondas used an unorthodox oblique formation to crush the Spartan phalanx. The myth of invincibility was shattered. Sparta's downfall wasn't one battle. It was their refusal to adapt. The phalanx was mighty, but rigid, and the world changed faster than Sparta could. Culture, ritual, and life beyond war. Though defined by warfare, Spartans weren't without culture. They hosted religious festivals, sang choral poetry, and held athletic competitions. Bronze crafts, pottery, and early lyric poetry thrived before austerity took over. Their meals were simple, famously the black broth, a soup of pork blood and vinegar. Yet elite warriors still dined communally at Syssitia, where shared meals reinforced equality. Warriors laughing around a fire, singing choral songs. Ironically, early Sparta was more artistic than many Greek cities. But over time, that richness faded in favor of discipline and survival. Decline and legacy. A warrior cult's slow death. Sparta didn't fall to invaders. It collapsed under the weight of its own system. Population crisis. By 371 BCE, fewer than 1,000 full citizens remained due to war deaths, low birth rates, and strict citizenship rules. Helot resistance. Constant fear of rebellion drained military focus. Rome's arrival. When Rome annexed Greece, Sparta became a museum of warriors, a nostalgic curiosity for Roman tourists. By the 2nd century CE, Sparta was no longer a military threat, just a legend. Truth beyond the myth. Why does the myth of Sparta endure? Because we crave simplicity, strength, honor, brotherhood. It's easier to celebrate the 300 than confront the brutality that created them. The truth? Sparta was a military dictatorship rooted in slavery and fear, a society of both beauty and barbarity, a civilization that chose order over freedom and paid the price. The Spartans were not immortal. They were not gods. They were human beings, rigid, disciplined, often cruel, but unmistakably human. Historian Paul Cartledge. And maybe that's the real lesson of Sparta. When a society sacrifices everything for strength, it may win battles, but it loses its soul. The helmet in the dust. Sparta rose on the bones of the conquered. It stood unshaken for centuries. Then it vanished. What remains are echoes of discipline, defiance, and destiny. But look closer, and you'll find a warning written in blood and bronze. Even the strongest fall when they cannot change. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more untold truths from history's most misunderstood legends.